Welcome to our session, Operations Manager Dashboards. It's quite nice to see so many people still interested in SCOM. Is anyone in this room not using SCOM at the moment? Show of hands. Everyone is using SCOM. Nice. Very well. This is about SCOM. This is about dashboards in SCOM, so you're aware of that. My name is Stefan Köll. I'm an MVP. You can find my blog at codeforward.net is my website, and I'm also running the user group in Austria, Vienna, scug.at. Our next meeting, a little advertisement for maybe someone who is in Austria. At that time, we are welcoming everyone to our user group meetings. I'm a system center consultant, mainly focused on SCOM and a bit of SCSM. I'm also a software developer. I'm the author of RoyalTS, a remote management tool, which can help you manage remote connections. You should check it out. And you can follow me on Twitter at Stefan Köll. Sometimes I have to talk about SCOM and stuff. It's still alive, I hope. Stefan.
Yes, thank you, Stefan. So very warm welcome also from my side. My name is Stefan Roth. I'm a cloud architect at IDNetX, the company which is providing this event. And I do mostly SCOM, but also more and more PowerShell stuff, SMA, and also the surrounding system which you hit when you use SMA. I'm very active in the community. I have a blog, stefanroth.net. If you not already have checked out, then go check it out. There are very useful things on it. I also, I'm active on Twitter and also on TechNet forums. If you have any questions about SCOM, then I probably will answer it if I can. If not, then somebody else. I also have contributed to a book called Mastering Windows Server 2012 R2, yeah, which you are able to win. But that's it. So what is the agenda today? Stefan will then right after talk about the history of the dashboards, how it was in the past, how it's going to be. Then we have right away a warm-up demo. So we jump into the demo section. Then we get a little recap of the widgets we have used and we will use in the next demo. Then those were more the easy one widgets we can use for dashboarding. In the next, we will use then the script-driven widgets. They are more interesting. You can do anything, almost anything with it. And we have there lots of demos. So very important that we have giveaways. If you have any excellent questions or contribution ideas or anything like that, and we think it's worth, then you can win Windows Server 2012 R2 book. In addition, also a free license for RoyalTS. There are 4 books inside. Those are 6,800 pages.
It's not the digital edition.
Yes, it's not digital. It's, yeah. And also, in addition, you get the RoyalTS license free from Stefan, sponsored. That's a bundle. So for the 4 top questions or ideas, you can win those giveaways.
So let's talk about the history of SCOM dashboards. So in 2007, when SCOM, as we know it today, arrived, we had dashboard support, which was based on composition of views. So actually you have created a view and another view and another view and 4 or 5 views, and then you have a dashboard with a layout, and you could link in those views and see all those information in one dashboard. That was a good start, but obviously it was not enough. And in SCOM 2012, they changed the methodology a bit. They changed the architecture a bit. So in principle, you can do the same, but it's widget-driven. And what I mean with widget-driven is you define a layout. You don't have to create views up front. You just link in your own widgets, and there are more widgets. And since 2012 SP1 update rollout 6, quite a mouthful, and 2012 R2 update rollout 3, you have new widgets which are covered today. That's the topic for this talk. Just a quick show of hands, who has worked with dashboards before? Okay, quite a few. Who has worked with the new dashboards already? With the new widgets? Okay, great. So there will be some interesting stuff for you, hopefully. There was, of course, some other solutions as well, like, everybody knows Savision or Squared Up, which is basically a dashboard framework. And even before the new widgets were released, you could download third-party widgets, like the WebView widget, which I wrote 1 year ago, which allows you to embed a web page in a dashboard. So, a lot of things happened around dashboards, and we want to take a closer look at it. So let's jump right into our first demo.
Okay. So as you can see, I'm the demo monkey today. And before I start, you need to know that I created 2 distributed applications. One is called Alderaan, and one is called the Death Star. And if you're familiar with the Star Wars saga, then you know Alderaan was destroyed by the Death Star. So in our opinion, it's important to monitor Alderaan. That's a planet, and therefore we would like to build an Alderaan health check overview dashboard. So for those who never have built a dashboard, just short introduction into it. You click Create the Dashboard View, and then you are able to select column layout or a grid layout. Column is, as it says, are only columns, and grid is there are multiple cells which you can arrange the way you want. So we will hit next, and I give it the name like one demo Alderaan health check, and I hit next. And there you can see you can choose from 1 cell to 9 cells. And depends on how many cells you select, you're able to choose different layouts. For my purpose, I think these 4 cells and this layout is the right one. And then I hit Create. What we have done is just we built the framework for our new widgets. Our first and most simple widgets from the new dashboard widgets is the image widget down here. You just select it, give it a name. I call it a logo. And there you are able to upload any image you want. You can go add image, and then down here you are able to select the types of PNG, PNG, JPEG, or whatever you want. I already uploaded it, and I created in Paint this Alderaan PNG.
In Paint, it's very important.
In Paint,
in Paint.
Yeah. What else? Okay, close. And that's it. First image done. Cool. So a bit more interesting widget is probably the Topology Widget. It goes into the same direction. You can provide an image and place different objects onto it. So let's see, it's here, the Topology Widget. Select it, hit next, and then I give it a name like map, because I want to see where are my planets. Hit add, and then you are able to select a group or also objects. because I created the distributed application, I choose those objects. Go select Alder, typo, Alderon. And also I want to see where my Death Star is. I search for my Death Star application. Hit OK. Next. And out of the box, you get the world map in different sizes you can choose. And same way as you could do it in the image widget, you're also able to provide your own image. I selected the map of the universe. I already uploaded it. Hit next. And then you can choose what kind of, how you want to display those objects. If you choose vicinity node, then you see just a picture of the class of this object. It's a distributed application, how it displays, or just this red circle or green circle with a check mark.
The health indicator.
Yes. Hit next and create. Okay. So the problem you will have now is how can I figure out which object this is? You just hover over it and then you see that this one is the Death Star. And it will be probably here, somewhere here. And if I go over this one, then we see Alderon. And as you can see, there is Alderon on the map. And I can see the health state of the Alderon planet. Cool. Now, because I'm a planet provider, I want to check the SLAs of my universe. I need to add, I want to see somehow what is the availability of my distributed application of my planet. I'm also to add, I jump into right into the next widget. That's the SLA Tiles Widget. I have to find it. It's up here. I call this Planet SLA. Hit next. And then you need to select a time range. And this time range is being used for calculating the SLA. So you will see if it breached or not. You can choose from minutes, month, weeks, years. I leave the default of 7 days. Hit next. And then, of course, I need to select the SLAs. I put some SLOs on my objects, and I call them SLA and Death Star SLA. Hit OK. Next, and create. Close. So depending how fast your machine is and the time range, it takes some time to display all these tiles and also to calculate the SLA.
This is a pretty low resolution, so usually you have a much larger screen and those cells are resizing accordingly, so that's...
Yes.
It's an old beamer, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, it's still calculating. Yeah, now we see that our Death Star is, has an availability of 100%, and our Alderon is not very healthy, and has availability 23% over the past 7 days.
The end is near.
The end is near, yeah, it's getting destroyed soon. And if it gets destroyed, then I want to know why. So I will add another widget, and that's alert widget, because I want to see what happened to it. That's going to be the contextual alert widget here. So in this widget, you were able to select what kind of alerts you want to see. It's the severities, critical warning information. I want to see all of them. Then the specified priorities, it's high, medium, or low. And of course, I just want to see the new alerts. And as if you're familiar with building views, it's the same way here. You can arrange what column you want to have. So for me, because I have just a small space there, I want to move up the name and also the repeat count. And then I hit next and create. Close. So it's empty right now. If I go there and just select my distributed application or Alderon, then I see that the computer browser service is stopped. And the repeat count is 0 because it's a monitor. And I see all the other alerts. Okay. There is another setting I just skipped over. You can reconfigure the widgets. If you go and go through the wizard again, then you see down here, enable alert details inline. If you select this check mark here, hit finish, then you will see the alert details within the widget. So if I select now an alert, you will see here up more details. Okay. That's just a short introduction in some of the new widgets. And Stefan is now going to talk more in detail about these widgets. So you already are prepared for his slides. Okay.
Well, let's just quickly recap what we just saw. We have the image widget, which is very simple. There is no interaction. It's just an image. And usually you don't use it for Star Wars related themes. It's mostly used for branding. If you put a dashboard on a big screen for customers or for the department, you probably want to have your logo or company CI on that image. The topology widget is almost as simple, but you can put health indicators on it, as we have seen. There is not much interaction. You can select health indicators. But one important thing is that you need to have at least the author role to move the health indicators around. So if you have read-only operators or simple operators, they can just view the topology widget and cannot manipulate it. We've seen the object detail tiles widget, and this is a widget which shows not only the SLA and the alert count with trending. It also shows performance data. You have to define at least one performance counter you want to see in there. You can define multiple performance counters as well. And the widget, the tiles just increase and you get more tiles in this widget. It's also a very simple widget, and the configuration is almost similar as we have seen. The state tiles widget is almost the same as before, just without the performance and the alert widget. It's a subset. It shows the health and it shows the trending based on the time range you can configure. And the SLA Tiles widget again is a subset of the previous one, which shows just the SLA, also with trending and in a specific time range. Then we have the object health widget, which is a widget where you can define, when you configure the widget, you can define an object, a group, or an object, and it displays all the monitors and the health state of the monitors in your widget. This is a very simple widget. Also, you configure it up front, and you see in your dashboard the widget as you have configured it. However, there is another one. This is the contextual health widget. It's the same, just it doesn't need to be configured with the monitor, with the object or with the group. It takes the selection in a different widget of the same dashboard. So you can click in your dashboard in another widget on an object, and this updates accordingly. Very similar to this is the contextual alert widget. Instead of showing monitors and health state, it shows the alerts of this object. So you select again an object in another dashboard widget of the same dashboard, it updates accordingly, and you see a filtered list of alerts for this entity. So let's put some of these new widgets into action with the next demo.
Okay, we have seen already some new widgets. Stefan just talked about all the new basic widgets, I would call it. And in this dashboard, we just wrap up the missing widgets we have not seen before. I prepared also, again, a Planet performance dashboard because I want to see, I want to get more insight about my Alderon and Death Star. So best we start out with a state tile widget because we want to see the state of our objects. That's this widget here, state tile widget. Hit next, and then I give it the name like planet states. Then you can provide groups and objects or multiple objects. In my case, I pick again Alderon and also Death Star. Hit OK. That looks good. Next, and because this state tile widget also displays trending of alerts, you need to select first what kind of alerts there should be calculated. So I will pick all the critical warning and information. Then I select also all priorities, so high, medium, or low, and just the new ones. And time range to calculate this value on the widget, you again are able to select hours, minutes, days, weeks, whatever you want. So I just leave 1 hour, hit next, and create. It can be because of the resolution that it will be not displayed properly. So if you have higher resolution, you will see just in line, not underneath. And this one is now the state of my Alderon. I see the alert trending is going down, and I have 6 alerts of it. And the state is critical. If I hit this object here, then on the next widget, I see in context of the previous widget, the alerts. So if I go up here and select Death Star, there will be no alerts, of course, because it's healthy, no alerts, everything okay. That's cool, but I'm also interested now, okay, I have alerts. There could be that some are generated by a monitor, and I would like to see maybe the monitors related to those objects I select. There is the contextual health widget. That's this one here. I hit next, and I call this contextual health. And as Stefan already mentioned, that if you have any contextual widget, it always displays in context of the selected object in your dashboard.
In the same dashboard.
In the same dashboard, very important, yes, thank you. And therefore you don't have to provide any more information about or configure anything.
You have to be careful if you have multiple widgets which can show you objects. You have to be careful in what context the widget is displaying the data, because obviously there could be another one driving that widget. So just to keep that in mind if you design a dashboard, that multiple sources can trigger the update of the contextual widget.
And because my all-around is not healthy, I select this object, I get all related alerts, and if I select, for example, the computer browser service, I see it stopped. Then on the other side, then I see the monitors, availability, entity health, computer browser service health, monitors. If you already worked with SCOM, then it reminds you, or you might have the structure in your head about the Health Explorer. It's more or less exactly the same as you can see here. As a default, only the unhealthy monitors are displayed. You can change this by going to this wheel here and select Show All Monitors. Then you will see and get more details also about the healthy monitors. Cool. So we have just seen some single widgets. There is the Object Details Tiles widget. I consider it as a, you have a combination of two or of three widgets. You have the State Tile widget, you have the SLA widget, and then you can select performance counters. So it's a kind of a combination of it, but we will see it when I configure it, because I want to see some details about Alderan. I configure this Object Details widget. Object Details Tiles widget. That's the one here. And I call this Alderan. Details. Hit next, and again, because I have multiple widgets or tiles within the widget, I need a time range to calculate certain things. I can select again minutes, hours, days, whatever you like. I leave the default. Then I just can select one object, or you can also select groups, of course. I pick my Alderan. Distributed app, and then, so for the first tile, you can see it here in the background from Death Star. I can enable it or not, so it will be displayed or not. I let it enabled, and I select again all alerts, all priorities, and again just the new states I'm interested in. Down here, looks familiar. You can select a time range just for the alert calculation for the trending. Then you need to select, or you can select, we just discussed, you must select at least one performance counter.
Not sure if this is a bug
or if it's...
You could argue if you don't select the performance counter and you don't enable the other two, you have an empty widget, so that's maybe the reason.
Exactly. So I use the process information. I want to see some more details about that. I select just the total instance. I will, let's say, some memory, percent memory used maybe. And in addition, I would like to see some logical disk information, free space, and all instances. Click Add, and next, and here you just select the SLA if you want to display the tile or not. before you had to select the time range. Here you just enable it or disable it, and the time range before is being used for the calculation of the SLA. So I leave it enabled and then create. And of course we should see then something like down here for the Death Star here. And again, if you click any object within the dashboard, you will see it changes up here in context of that object you selected. And so you get a dashboard which gives you some more insights into the object you want to monitor. Basically we covered now the standard widgets, which are, in my opinion, they are very cool, but they're not as interesting as maybe the script widgets. So Stefan will talk more about script widgets.
Yeah. So those widgets are fairly simple. You know, you can click and easily configure them in the UI, and you get beautiful results. You can build very impressive dashboards with those building blocks. It's like Lego for IT admins. The more interesting widgets are the widgets coming up now, and we start with the web browser widgets. It's also a context-driven widget, so in a sense, when you click an object in a dashboard widget of the same dashboard, it updates the web browser widget. What does the web browser widget do? It displays a web page, but you can choose the web address, the URL of this web page, and you can also inject in the query string or in the URL through replacement tokens like variables, the alert ID or the object ID. So why does that make sense? So if you have seen my talk last year, I talked about creating a better knowledge base using SharePoint, and the way I did it back then was by using alert tasks, console tasks. So in a sense, I executed those URLs in the default browser, and you could create a knowledge base article in SharePoint and browse to that knowledge base article. But it was all very disconnected from the console. It was using a console task, and it was externally in the external browser. You could do that now embedded in the Ops console. You can do it now by clicking on an alert. You see in the dashboard widget underneath, you see your company knowledge based on the alert ID or the object ID, for example. You could also create, you know, if you use Service Manager and Configuration Manager to build up a CMDB, you could also create informational pages about your CIs. So you could pass on the object ID. There is some script running or some web page running on your web server, gathering the data and displaying a web page right within your web console. This is very interesting, and this, you know, this is something where you have enormous flexibility and enormous possibilities. We will see some demos about that. The next much cooler widget in the new collection is the PowerShell Grid widget. You can now execute any script, any PowerShell script, and display the data in the Operations Manager console. This is huge. I mean, you could, if security and firewall and everything and permissions on the server are correctly configured, you could pull in live data from the server you're just clicking on. You could pull in live data from processes are running, the top 10 processes or whatever. You could even pull in data from external applications or completely different systems. So it doesn't really matter if this is in context to your alert. You can do whatever you want here. We will see some demos with the grid widget as well. There are some pitfalls which we will discuss in more detail, like the run space behavior, user account permissions and stuff like that you have to be aware of. And in principle, in general, this is also working for the web console. So you could do this in the web console as well. And lastly, we have a PowerShell web browser widget, which is a kind of mixture of both. You create a PowerShell script which forms a web request, which gathers a web page and displays the web page in an embedded widget, browser widget. One thing we should note here is that you even can interact with the operations console. So you could create a web page which shows some data in that widget, and if you click a button or a link or whatever, you could execute a console task of the operations console from that web widget using JavaScript. We have no demo for that particular, but there is some good examples on TechNet wiki, which demonstrate and also document how you could set this up. It's a simple JavaScript call where you can execute a task. Well, this will be a much more interesting demo, I think.
Yes, of course, and now it's getting more interesting. And I don't like any marketing, and so what I like to do is what works, what does not work, and if it's not work, why does it not work? So, so we jump into the code. As Stefan mentioned that there is the PowerShell grid widget. You can display basically any information you can gather with PowerShell into the and render it into the grid widget. So to start with, I thought we just pick a simple example. So if you know PowerShell, you maybe 90% of the code will you know already. So I get all the processes and I just filter it for which don't have a CPU property, which don't have any CPU property filled, and then I sort it descending. Then I go through each process, and then here it starts. There is a script context helper object which you need to build a kind of, it's those who are familiar with the script rules and script monitors, there you need to build a property back. The same, almost same you need to do here. You create an instance and then you create this data object. This data object then is being filled with some properties. What you need at least to provide is always an ID. And this has to be a string. And the rest of the data you just add from the process the name, company, CPU, and so on. At the end of the script, here, you return the collection you just generated from the data objects to the grid widget. And that's it. So how this looks like, I have to go back.
Just to make this clear, the very first line is in general the line you're interested in. That's the script, that's the line which gets you the processes. All the stuff below is the boilerplate code which is needed, unfortunately, to put it in a format that COM can render it in a grid. So there is actually Stefan Stranger from Netherlands wrote basically a script, a PowerShell script, which generates for you this boilerplate code. So you can put in any scriptlet or any one-liner and it generates this boilerplate code for you and you just copy-paste it in. So this is not rocket science at all.
Okay, I just copied the code and then we go to the, we select the PowerShell grid widget. Hit next and I call the widget here just processes. And then I basically have to paste the code. And there is not more to configure than that. Hit create. Close. And we see already in the grid all the processes sort descending order CPU value which are running. So maybe the first question you have is, yeah, what kind of processes are those? Well, I can tell you that are just the processes you're running the console on this machine. So I'm running it on the management server, so those are the processes which run on the management server. If you would start it from your client, then it would be in the client. As Stefan just told you, okay, cool, I built this, I want to display this now to other users, I will use the web console. Of course, I'm very proud of the script, and I go to the Operations Manager web console, sign in, initializing, and it's a bit slow. Okay, here we are. I go and select my demo process dashboard. And then you see that.
Oops.
You see a nice error and lots of code nobody understands. And you just see here some system management automation, PS object, whatever. And okay. To understand how it works, I will jump just into the next demo and then come back to this demo. Then we will fix this problem.
We could ask the crowd. Does anybody know why this is happening? Any idea? We didn't know either. We had to look it up. Okay.
Yeah, it was a try and error. So to explain everything, we have another demo where we check the run space, so the space where the script runs. We want to see what account is, for example, executing, or what is the environment the script lives in, and therefore we built the script. We have here some objects we can select, and these objects are passed to the, it's also a grid widget, and there is some code behind. I'm not going very deeply into that code because it's just to display some information. We just add grid rows and passing some keys and values there. That's just a function here. The interesting thing is here. You will see the username who is executing the script. You see, of course, the PowerShell version and the machine name. And what I think it's also very interesting is what process here is actually executing the script. So I cancel this, and let's focus on this grid here. So I just started the regular SCOM console, and we see the username. I'm logged in as a SU administrator. SU is my domain, and the account is an administrator. If you would start a console on a different account, then here would be your other account.
That's the interactive user account from the desktop, actually, where the SCOM console is running.
Exactly. You see that the PowerShell version is 4, and that the current process name is the Microsoft Enterprise Management Monitoring Console. That's your SCOM console. Long name for it. If you watch closer and I select different objects over here, then you see the host instance over here is always changing. So somehow it generates always a new instance. Why this is? I don't know. Okay. Now we have the FAT console. We can use now this dashboard to analyze it in the web console. I just started it, and if you go over here, then we see the username, which is executing the script, is the ISS app pool and the operations manager application pool from IIS. And the process name is the IIS worker process, which is executing the script. So the PowerShell version, of course, is the same, and the computer name is also the same because it's hosted on the same computer. Okay, this helps a lot troubleshooting the problem we had before. If we think about a bit more, then if we have the IS app pool, then there must be probably some restricted account or something behind which doesn't allow to run certain things. But actually there are two issues. First issue, I go back to the script which I pasted to list the process. I have a fixed script. The only thing I changed to get it running without an error in the web console, I declared here the string for those properties. That's the only thing I changed. And if I copy, that's the wrong one. If I copy and paste this code into our console, then you will see the result is in the fat console is the same, but if you go back to the web console, I have to jump out and come back. I might have to, now it's reloading. Process. And the result is not quite the same. We see the work process from IS, but we see also the properties, but not the list. So the other issue to fix, as we have seen in the demo 4, that there is another account. If we go into IIS console and check the application pool, and that's the operations managed application pool, we see here under identity, it's application pool identity. That's a restricted built-in account which does not have enough permission. So I changed this account, you can do it here. I will use my administrative account.
This is just for demo purpose. You shouldn't do that actually.
Yeah.
It's just to prove the point that it's a permission issue. I wouldn't run the app pool with such an account.
That's right, yeah. Let's talk to your CSO. Then I will restart the service just to reload it. Then I have to relog in. And hopefully it will work. I go to favorite. Yeah, of course. Okay. And here are the process lists. Okay. I try to speed up now a little bit because
we're running out of time.
We are running out of time. Another demo we prepared. There is I have to make a short fix. So I close the console. Restart the console. So Stefan talked about the web browser widgets which are available.
Scom is crashing.
Yeah, now it's starting. Okay. Okay. So, sorry about that. You know, if you start a browser, you can check what kind of browser you're running, and there are different websites you can use. One is what's my browser.org. Then you see that I'm running Internet Explorer 11. That's just a regular internet browser on my system here. If I go to the web browser widgets, then I see I see script errors, and it tells me I'm using Internet Explorer 7. So what's wrong? Those are the two widgets. One is from Microsoft, provided with the new widgets, and the other one down here is the one from Stefan. He has written 1 year ago. The difference between those widgets is Stefan's widget, you just configure it and you can provide a URL, and then it will be displayed in the dashboard.
So both widgets are actually using the same technique to just embed a browser, but Microsoft obviously they have a browser emulation feature, so-called, which by default every Windows process embedding a browser is restricted or is by default in Internet Explorer 7 mode, so to speak. So there is that's not a hack, that's officially documented to allow an application embedding a web browser to act as a different browser version. You can put that in the registry, and we have the registry files. Those files will also be available after the talk on the web page, on Stefan's blog and my blog. And with this registry hack, it's not really a hack, but with this registry key, you can tell which browser emulation you want to have.
Exactly. So the difference between those widgets are, it's just a configuration. In the Microsoft web browser widget, you provide also here the URL. And then in addition, you can select what should be appended to the URL you're providing. So if I select the management group ID, I see down here, the URL will be complete with those information. This means you can use this widget then to pass from another widget this information to this web browser widget and use it to display some additional information, or use it, for example, to display some SharePoint, and you build there some solutions. So as Stefan already told you, that's just the restriction there is. You can fix this by going to the registry. We have this registry file right here. If we look at it, you define in the local machine software Microsoft Internet Explorer, blah, blah, blah. There is a feature browser emulation key. And there you give the SCOM console basically this value here. So if I apply this registry setting, I need to restart the SCOM console and the problem will be fixed.
This looks scary, but this is documented.
Yes.
You can use this safely.
You can figure it out by going to the MSDN page. I just have it under my favorites, of course.
Maybe we should just skip to the other demos and just quickly show you what we could have done when we have more time.
Okay.
Because I want to ask the questions. I'm not going home with these books.
Yeah.
I want to lose these books.
Yeah. Maybe we need 5 more minutes, but I think those are very cool demos, so we take the time. I just prepared, we just saw that these widgets, and they are used on its own way, but we can build a solution out of it. So there is a, for example, there is a website where you can get all the management packs from social from the TechNet wiki, very well maintained site by the community. And it would be nice if you just can click on those and download it within your SCOM console. Because of that wish, I prepared already the scripts. First, we need to build a grid widget to select the management packs, and the web browser widget, a PowerShell web browser widget, to download then this information. It looks scary, the script. I documented what I document the script, so we will provide them later on, so you can download it.
This is already available on your blog, right?
Yes, yeah, slightly different, without any comments, yeah. So I copy the code, go to the PowerShell grid widget, hit next, and then as I MP, next, paste it, and create. This basically goes out to the website, invokes a web request, gets the data, I extract the data I need, and then add a property that's the ID from the management pack, and I will pass this ID then to the URL from the PowerShell web browser widget. So as you can see, the management packs are listed here, and the PowerShell web browser widget, I use the other code.
It's so easy, just copy and paste.
PowerShell web browser widget, the one on top. Next. And then I call this download. Paste, not much to configure, and create. Close. In the background it loads the website, and I can select up here any management pack I want, and jumps right into the website where I have the download button. And because the website is very well maintained, I also have the most current management packs inside here. It's live data. The other demo, or
let's wrap it up. We will post all the demos on the blog, and you can download the scripts and the management pack with the dashboards ready to use.
Okay, before
we're running out of time.
We're running out of time, but I need just 1 minute. You need to see that demo because it's very cool. If you are very creative, then you can build something like that. I call it intergalactic soundboard. You can add some sound speakers, a cool logo, and then you can, basically like a jukebox, you can select the sound you want, and then it will play the sound. Because I don't have any sound card on the virtual system, I recorded it, and hopefully the sound is connected and it works right away. So I will play this demo.
Please master select a song and enjoy.
Very cool, no?
I think this is proof that you can do anything with COM, anything, even with awesome sound quality. Let's switch back to the slides. Just a quick wrap up. I won't go through all those points. You've seen the pitfalls. You have to be aware that you're running with the right user account. Be aware that when you run those widgets in the web browser, it may run under a different account with different permissions. There are a lot of resources. Again, those slides are available publicly shortly after the talk, and you can go to those URLs and find additional information. I think those widgets are great, and they allow us to do awesome things, including Jukebox. So if you have any questions, please come forward and take a book. And don't forget to give feedback. With this, I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. Thank you.